Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and unfortunately for my wallet, but luckily for you because I know you love them, I have a huge book haul for you. It's a little bit of a story about how I got these books, because whenever there's Black Friday in Germany, all of the bigger bookshops have something like 20% off on all English books. So what I always do is I kind of collect a list of English books that I like. Luckily, witchcraft books are usually in English, so that's an advantage. So I always kind of collect the books that I want on a wish list over the whole year, and then on Black Friday I spend a whole shit ton of money on books, because why not save 20% if I want them either way? The thing is though, and you might ask yourself, why are they filming a Black Friday book haul now? In the end of January, so when you see it, it's probably already February. And that is because the bookshop that I bought the books from decided to ship all my like 15, 17 books individually. I mean, I bought them on Black Friday and still 3 of them haven't arrived yet. So yeah, it's a struggle. But I thought I don't want to wait any longer, so I would show you all of the books that I got this far. So let us start out with the book that I'm actually currently reading, which already looks kind of damaged, and it's The Children of Ash Elm, A History of the Vikings by Neil Price. This one, you see, I'm already reading it, and this book is amazing. I advise every single person who's interested in the Viking Age or in Norse Paganism to read this book. Everyone who's just remotely interested in the Viking Age and who has read some archaeological texts about the Viking Age probably already knows Neil Price, because Neil Price is amazing. I'm kind of a Neil Price fan person because he's just so knowledgeable about the Viking Age. He's an archaeologist. I also read The Viking Way. It's also a book by him, which is specifically on pre-Christian Scandinavian or Viking Age magic. Yeah, this is just basically all around the Viking Age. It's less of a scholarly text than the books I'm used to by him, which makes this very easy to read and very enjoyable to read. If you don't like reading scholarly texts like archaeological texts and stuff, then definitely read this. This is amazing. I can't recommend it more. I love it so much. Then next up, we have The Road to Hell, A Study of the Conception of the Dead in Old Norse Literature by Hilda Roderick Ellis, or nowadays I think Hilda Ellis Davidson. Yeah, I guess she got married. It's the same person as Hilda Ellis Davidson, if you're wondering. And this is, yeah, as it says, a study of the conception of the dead in Old Norse literature. So it's a heavily scholarly text. So it goes basically over all the sources, text sources as well as archaeological sources about, for example, burials, but also the belief in a life after death and reincarnation, everything that has to do with death in the Viking Age and before. This book goes over it. It's pretty short. It's amazing. Like, you see how many little thingies I put in here? It's basically every single page. In the end, I just stopped putting these in because I was marking something on every single page, because it's only like, what is it? Like 200 pages, but it's filled with knowledge. It's so good. It was so fascinating to read. So again, if you're a Norse pagan or you're interested in the Viking Age, definitely read this. I know it's kind of pricey, as most of the older archaeological texts are, or scholarly texts are, but I still definitely recommend it. If you can afford it, or if you can save up on it, definitely get it. Next up, something that doesn't necessarily have to do anything with the Viking Age or Norse paganism. The Book of Seances, A Guide to Divination and Speaking to Spirits by Claire Goodchild. I bet you have seen this book on Olivia's channel, The Witch of Wanderlust, because that is where I got to know this book. And yeah, I had to get the book afterwards. Let me quickly read the back for you. As long as people have lived, they have longed for wisdom and comfort from those who have died. In the Book of Seances, artist, author, and witch Claire Goodchild takes readers on a journey over the historical landscape of spiritualism and guides questers through safe practices for cultivating a connection with the other side. The Book of Seances details the 4 types of spiritual encounters, teaches us how to protect ourselves, and breaks down the different tools, from spirit boards and tarot to dominoes and charms, that are essential for opening a bridge to the afterlife. Whether you are conducting solitary or group seances, this book offers a way to safely glimpse beyond the veil. Through her evocative writing and singular art, Goodchild provides a comprehensive history of the seance alongside an immersive guide to accessing and communing with the spirit world. The Book of Seances provides hauntingly lovely signposts of our own personal mythology as revealed through our conscious and unconscious lives. So you see, this is all about working with spirits, and as you know, I work a lot with spirits. I love working with spirits, and I have actually never read a book that's just about spirit work. I think, at least I can't remember one, so I thought it is time. So yeah, I have not started reading this book. The first one that I showed you were the only that I've started reading, and yeah, I'm very excited to dive into it. Also, like, it's just beautiful. It's hardcover, which I love. I usually don't splurge on hardcovers because I'm a cheap person and I buy a lot of books, but this just looks good. I'm very, very interested in diving into this. Next up, one of the books that I wanted to get right after it came out, Mastering Magick, a course in spellcasting for the Psychic Witch by Matt Oren. As you know, I loved Psychic Witch by Matt Oren, and I was so mad. I pre-ordered this book on Amazon as soon as I was able to. And then when it came out, it was like, yeah, well, we can't give it to you. We don't have it. Amazon, what the fuck? I mean, it was already the only source where I could properly pre-order it. So I got to Amazon, which I generally don't really like, and then I pre-ordered it, and then I didn't get it. And then like 3-4 months after it came out, I still didn't have it, and I was so mad. So yeah, now I got it on Black Friday, and I got it basically right away. So Amazon, what the hell? Let me quickly read you the back. Create personalized and soul-stirring magic with best-selling author Matt Oren. Boost your psychic ability and incorporate the greater mysteries of magic into your practice. A companion to the international bestseller Psychic Witch, this groundbreaking book features more than 60 spells and is the first of its kind to focus on casting magic to bridge the divide between the seen and the unseen worlds. Matt teaches you how to enchant yourself as a powerful psychic witch by connecting with the witch's tools, the elements, the moon, the seasons, and the planets. You will learn the mechanics of spellwork and how to make your magic as effective as possible. In addition to Matt's own tried and true castings, Mastering Magick features more than a dozen spells from well-known witches and practitioners, including Christopher Panzak, Judica Isles, Juliet Diaz, Storm Fairy Wolf, Laura Tempest Zakroff, Devin Hunter, Madame Pamira, and others. I'm very excited to get into it. I actually didn't even know that it includes spells by other authors, so that is something I'm very excited about. Yeah, as I said, I loved Psychic Witch already, so I was so happy when this was announced. Because yeah, I just love Matt Oren's writing style. I think it's very inclusive. To be honest, I don't buy spell books that often anymore, so hopefully this will have some new info or some new inspiration for me for my spell work. Next up, Old World Witchcraft, Ancient Ways for Modern Days by Raven Grimassi. So I will be cautious while reading it because I have never read a book by Raven Grimassi before, but I've heard some things. I actually don't even know what Raven Grimassi's pronouns are, so I will just say they, them. I have heard that they sometimes invent things, so I will be cautious and definitely cross-reference a lot in this book. But yeah, Old World Witchcraft. I guess you have probably seen it already on some other channels. This one does not have a blurb, so I can't read you any of it. This type of book is something that you will see come up more often in this haul, because yeah, as you know, I'm getting into Scandinavian folk magic, so I kind of also want to read up about other kinds of folk magic and traditional magic to kind of see where the differences but also the similarities lie. Yeah, that is why I got this book. I am very, very interested in reading it. Something Scandinavian themed again. The Real Valkyrie, The Hidden History of Viking Warrior Women by Nancy Marie Brown. This is also a book that I have wanted for basically ages, but it's also quite pricey. So saving 20% on it was great. As heroes, we were widely known. With keen spears, we cut blood from bone. In 2017, DNA tests revealed to the collective shock of many scholars that a Viking warrior in a high-status grave in Birka, Sweden, was actually a woman. The Real Valkyrie weaves together archaeology, history, and literature to reinvent her life and times, showing that Viking women had more power and agency than historians have imagined. Nancy Marie Brown links the Birka warrior, whom she names Hervor, to Viking trading towns and to their great trade route east to Byzantium and beyond. She imagines Hervor's adventures intersecting with larger-than-life but real women, including Queen Gunhild, Mother of Kings, the Viking leader known as Red Girl, and Queen Olga of Kiev. Hervor's short, dramatic life shows that much of what we have taken as truth about women in the Viking Age is based not on data but on 19th century Victorian biases. Rather than holding the household keys, Viking women in history, the sagas, poetry, and myth carry weapons. In this compelling narrative, Brown brings the world of those Valkyries and shield maidens to vivid life. This was actually also a topic that is in the Children of Ash Elm, which I pretty much loved. I love seeing how many dead people in Viking Age graves that were usually gendered as female now come out as being women, actually, at least from their chromosomes. It seems like it's maybe more prose style than kind of a scholarly text. We will see. No matter what, I'm excited to get into it. Yeah, in general, this is a topic that I love so much because I actually read a couple of books now that kind of went into all the mistakes and errors and biases in archaeology, and it's a fantastic, interesting topic, so interesting. I will keep you updated. By the way, if you want any book reviews on any of these books, I will probably review all of these books in general on Patreon. But if you want to see a video on any of these books, if you want me to review any of them, maybe the pricier ones, then let me know. Okay, next up. It's another spirit work book, something you've probably also heard of. Consorting with Spirits, Your Guide to Working with Invisible Allies by Jason Miller. Jason Miller is a fantastic author, so when I heard that he publishes a book on spirit work, I was very, very excited. Let me read the blurb to you. Throughout history, humans have sought power and knowledge from spirits. Learning how to conjure, communicate with, and negotiate with these unseen powers is one of the keys to success in magic. Consorting with Spirits presents a detailed explanation of what spirits are, their different classifications, and how they exist in relation to the world we normally perceive. The reader will then learn a system of practices that will cultivate three main skills: the capacity to perceive spirits clearly, the ability to interact with them effectively, and the tools to deepen your relationships. It is this focus on deepening relationships and increasing clarity in communications that has been missing from much of the material about spirits. This book will teach you different ways of interacting with spirits, from offerings and invitations to forceful conjurations. With these tools in hand, you can work with your spirit allies to achieve any goal, from protection to wealth to vast knowledge. I guess I will just skip over the forceful conjurations because I'm not a fan of that. But apart from that, as I said, very excited to get into this. I'm always open to learning some new ways on how to perceive spirits and also how to communicate with spirits, because I want my spirit work to get more effective if it is possible. So yeah, I guess I will probably read this one and the Book of Seances either side by side or write one after another. I mean, I guess they have their own systems that they work with, so probably I can't use them really alongside each other, but I still feel like reading two books on the same topic alongside each other or right after each other probably makes sense, because then my knowledge from reading the one book is still fresh when I read the second one. Alrighty, almighty, I think we're halfway through now. Next up we have The Poison Path Herbal, Baneful Herbs, Medicinal Nightshades and Ritual Entheogens by Kobe Michael. I actually was able to listen to a talk by Kobe Michael already. It was very, very interesting. So I put his book in my wishlist right away. Let me read the back. Part grimoire and part herbal formulary, this guide to the poison path of occult herbalism shares history, lore, and information regarding the use of poisonous, consciousness-altering, and magical plants. Author Kobe Michael explains how, despite their poisonous nature, baneful herbs can become powerful plant allies, offering potent medicine, magical wisdom, and access to the spirit realm. Detailing the spiritual, alchemical, astrological, and symbolic associations of each plant, the author explores their magical uses in spells and rituals. He focuses primarily on the nightshade family, or Solanaceae, I have no clue how to pronounce this, such as mandrake, henbane, and thornapple, but also explores plants from other families such as wolfsbane, hemlock, and hellebore. He also examines plants in the Witches Pharmacopoeia, I have no fucking clue, in the Witches Pharmacopoeia that are safer to work with and just as chemically active, such as wormwood, mugwort, and yarrow. The author shares rituals suited to the individual nature and powers of each plant and explains how to attract and work with plant spirit familiars. He offers plant alchemy, methods for crafting spagyric tinctures, and magical techniques to facilitate working with these plants as allies and teachers. He shares magical recipes featuring the plants, including a modern witch's flying ointment. He also explores safely cultivating baneful herbs in a poison garden. I'm so excited. I definitely have a huge interest in poisonous plants, baneful plants, and yeah, consciousness-altering plants. I mean, my most important plant ally is mugwort, so that already says a lot. And I was so excited when I first read that there is a recipe on a witch's ointment in there, because I've always wanted one. I've always wanted to try that out. So I am so excited to dive into this. Okay, the next one. I decided to stay within the same topic. So the next one is 13 Pathways of Occult Herbalism by Daniel A. Schulke, or Daniel A. Schulke, because the name sounds very German. This is it. It's a very short one. It's like 130 pages. The discipline of occult herbalism encompasses the knowledge and use of the magical, spiritual, and folkloric dimensions of plants. This perennial wisdom animates many global spiritual traditions, especially those which have maintained their integrity of transmission even in the face of industrial development and cultural destruction. Often concealed within the deepest strata of the Western esoteric traditions, this green strand of wisdom, though obscured, is a potent legacy of all magic, sorcery, and occult science. In addition to the hard science of botany, ethnology, agriculture, and ethnopharmacology, a number of pathways can assist the magical herbalist in furthering the depth of understanding and integrity of personal approach. 13 Pathways of Occult Herbalism circumscribes the meta-paradigm of herbal magical practice, providing useful examples of its manifestation as well as demonstrating its time-honored roots of inquiry. It sounds very interesting. As you know, I love working with plants. I love getting to know different plants and their energies and spirits, and that is why I got this book. Before I got this, I didn't really know what it was about. I think it was recommended to me when I looked for the Poison Path, the Poison Path Herbal. So that is why I got it, and I thought, well, 130 pages, even if it's not good, reading 130 pages of a bad book won't kill me. So yeah, interesting. And the last one on plants that I got was the Witches Ointment. Yes, I'm very interested in witches ointments, okay? The Witches Ointment, The Secret History of Psychedelic Magic by Thomas Hatsis. This is what it looks like, very pretty. And this blurb is a long one. In the medieval period, preparations with hallucinogenic herbs were part of the practice of veneficium, or poison magic. This collection of magical arts used poisons, herbs, and rituals to bewitch, heal, prophesy, infect, and murder. In the form of psyche-magical ointments, poison magic could trigger powerful hallucinations and surrealistic dreams that enabled direct experience of the divine. Smeared on the skin, these entheogenic ointments were said to enable witches to commune with various local goddesses, bastardized by the church as trips to the Sabbath, clandestine meetings with Satan to learn magic and participate in demonic orgies, examining trial records and the pharmacopoeia, again this word, of witches, alchemists, folk healers, and heretics of the 15th century. Thomas Hatzes details how a range of ideas from folk drugs to ecclesiastical fears over medicine women merged to form the classical witch stereotype and what history has called the Witches Ointment. Through his study of rare manuscripts from university collections all over the world, Hatzes provides detailed evidence that in the preparation of their remedies, medieval folk healers used a wide variety of psychoactive plants along with ritual practices and magical incantations. He explores the connections between witches' ointments and spells for shapeshifting, spirit travel, and bewitching magic. He examines the practices of some Renaissance magicians who inhale powerful drugs to communicate with spirits, and of Italian folk witches such as, I don't know how to pronounce that, Matuccia di Francesco, who used hallucinogenic drugs in her love potions and herbal preparations, and Finicella, who used drug ointments to imagine herself transformed into a cat. Exploring the untold history of the witch's ointment and medieval hallucinogen use, Hatzes reveals how the church transformed folk drug practices, specifically entheogenic ones, into satanic experiences. I feel like this is probably a more scholarly one with a lot of sources and stuff, so I'm very, very excited to get into that. I feel like these ones, so the Witch's Ointment and the Poison Path Herbal together, will probably be a great combination because I feel like the Poison Path Herbal is probably more practical with recipes and stuff, while the Witch's Ointment is more theoretical. I am so excited to dive into these books. This one is definitely longer. Wow. The bibliography alone is like at least 10 pages. Yeah, this book is like 200 pages, so it's a good length, I think, with a huge bibliography. So yeah, 3 books on herbs, especially poisonous ones and ritual entheogens and stuff. I'm very, very excited about this. Okay, where do we go next? I guess we will go into the folk witchcraft, traditional witchcraft route. Okay, this one you will probably know already. It's The Crooked Path, An Introduction to Traditional Witchcraft by Kelden. I've heard so many good things about this book. I am so excited. The blurb is not that long, luckily, because my voice doesn't like me. Learn to walk the path of traditional witchcraft. Part the thorny bramble and take a walk along the bewitchingly mysterious crooked path. Within these pages, discover a wealth of hands-on tips and techniques to begin your journey into the realm of traditional witchcraft. Learn to weave a powerful personal practice that is informed by folklore and grounded in your own location and natural landscape. Along the way, you will find valuable information regarding the tools, rituals, and spells of this fascinating tradition, together with lessons on connecting with deities, familiar spirits, ancestors, and the spirits of place. With supportive advice and encouragement, Kelden provides everything you need to successfully navigate your own path, helping you master even advanced practices such as hedge crossing as you transform your day-to-day experience into a life filled with magic and spirit. Now that I've read the blurb, this was actually the first time that I've read the blurb, I'm even more excited to get into this because, yeah, you know, hedge crossing, communicating with spirits, everything like that is just my thing. I am so excited. I have read the most amazing things about this book, so I've wanted to get this for ages, but as I said, if I don't have to get a book right away, I will save up and buy the book on Black Friday to get 20% off. Because I'm cheap. I'm not even cheap. Why not save 20% if you can? Excited about that. Along with this goes Folk Witchcraft, A Guide to Lore, Land, and the Familiar Spirit for the Solitary Practitioner by Roger J. Horn. Anyone who's into folk witchcraft and traditional witchcraft has probably also heard about this book. Complete with practical exercises, descriptions of craft theories and models, hand-drawn illustrations, and a beginner's working grimoire, Folk Witchcraft provides the student witch with a concise yet thorough introduction to the old craft that is firmly rooted in the past and adapted for the present. Experienced witches will deepen and enrich their practices by connecting more fully to traditional magics from hundreds of years in the past. Learn how to master ecstatic methods of spirit flight described in the old witch lore. Yay! Celebrate the turning of the seasons with traditional rituals. Work powerful traditional charms such as the Witch's Ladder, the Puppet, and Blessing, Cursing by Gesture. Discern the magical properties of herbs and plants without relying on tables from books. This is great. Augur practical guidance from the spirit world. Utilize old craft incantations, remedies, and recipes. Connect with the old ones, the ancestors of folk witchcraft. Experience shapeshifting into various animal spirit forms. Yes! Craft herbal unguents, oils, powders, tinctures, and infusions. I'm always about crafting in my magic. Interpret incantations, charms, and sigils received from your own familiar spirits. That sounds interesting. Research and hone your own lore and Grimoire source magical practices. With over 50 rituals, charms, and exercises, folk witchcraft offers a refreshingly simple approach to the craft that is non-dogmatic, flexible, and rewarding as a regular spiritual practice. Okay, so this sounds very practical. Oh wow. I thought this was quite some pages because it's like 250 pages, but the pages aren't very much filled and the font is very big. So it's probably like 150 pages if you would put it on a normal page. I mean, this is not a very big page. So I guess I will get through this pretty quickly. I am very excited to get into it. I feel like I'm saying that about each and every book. I mean, of course I'm excited to get into it. I bought it. Why should I buy it if I'm not excited about it? But yeah, especially like experiencing shapeshifting into various animal spirit forms, interpreting incantations, charms, and sigils received from your own familiar spirits. That is something I haven't done yet, so definitely very interesting. We will see how much of this I will be able to reuse in my own folk magic practice. I feel like books like these will just get along very well with my own research on Scandinavian folk magic. I am also taking a course at the moment in Scandinavian folk magic in Trolldom. I'm very excited to also just see, yeah, as I already said, where the differences and similarities lie between Scandinavian folk magic and other types of folk magic, because I feel like there is a lot of overlap. Next up, something you've also seen on YouTube before, Of Blood and Bones, Working with Shadow Magic and the Dark Moon by Kate Fruhler. You have probably seen this one on Olivia's channel also. Learn to work with the magic of the dark moon. Shadow magic occupies a critical but often misunderstood role in the rich history of witchcraft. This book explores topics such as the ethical use of animal parts and bones, blood magic, dark moon energy, and other rarely discussed aspects of witchcraft. With a focus on ethically sourcing materials and suggestions for plant-based substitutions, this is amazing. Author Kate Fruhler provides much-needed information and hands-on techniques to help you strengthen your witchcraft practice, connect to nature, protect yourself and your kith and kin, and know yourself in a deep way. Within these pages, you will also discover methods for hexing, scrying, sex magic, and working with dark deities, in addition to the magical use of graveyard dirt and performing spells to assist the crossing of a dying loved one. The shadow work explored in Of Shadows and Bones reminds us that not everything is love and light, and that facing the dark side supports the quest to achieve spiritual wholeness. I'm so excited. This is also a book that I've wanted for ages. I personally feel like it is so important to kind of find the balance between light and dark magic. I don't even like the words because I feel like what is mostly perceived as light magic can also be very dark, and blessings can also be curses. Yeah, for me personally, as someone who started out with Wicca, of course I started out with a lot of the things that are perceived as light or good types of magic, and I'm slowly but surely diving more and more into darker aspects. I mean, shadow work is something that I really like to do. I work with the goddess of death. I really like working with bones and, like, in general, animal parts and stuff. So ethically sourcing in this book, great, because that is so important to me. I hope that it's not too US-centric, because acquiring bones and animal parts ethically in Germany, for example, is much different. So I hope that this book will maybe give me some advice on how to acquire some things. Yeah, but also in general, like, I don't know, blood magic, using the dark moon for spells and stuff. It's something that I have not dived very deep into yet. I do it whenever I intuitively feel like it, but I definitely want to dive into it more. So I feel like this book will help me with that. Okay, second to last book is a hefty one. It is Llewellyn's complete book of correspondences. You've probably also heard this one. It's a thickie. It is what it says. It is just a book of correspondences. So if you want correspondences on deities or animals or plants or planets or whatever, you can just look it up in this book. It is not something that you would read from beginning to end, because yeah, it's just an encyclopedia basically. You just look in it whenever you need some correspondences for some things. Since I have a witchcraft shop, I work a lot with correspondences, and for example, I make custom 7-day candles and custom tea light candles for people. So people approach me sometimes and say like, yeah, I would love a candle for this deity, but I won't tell you what I want in it. Maybe I don't even know. And I feel like this book will just be very, very handy in that way, because sometimes it's just deities that I've never heard of. So I have to really properly research these deities. And this far, I have actually only done that on the internet, but I just always wanted a book that I could get into and just look up some correspondences and then kind of cross-reference, because I really don't like doing research solely on the internet. Something that I always do is also ask people who practice and work or worship these deities, but I don't always know people who do. Sometimes the deities are deities that are not that well known and not that many people work with them. So I hope that this book will help with that. As you probably know, I usually like to work with my own correspondences, so I probably won't use this book heavily in my own practice, but as I said, for my shop, this will be very handy. Lastly, we have Grimoires, a history of magic books by Owen Davies. The story of Grimoires, books of magic spells, takes us from ancient Egypt through to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Harmless, priceless, or deadly dangerous depending on your viewpoint, to understand their history is to understand the spread of Christianity, the development of early science, the cultural influence of the print revolution, the growth of literacy, the impact of colonialism, and the expansion of Western cultures across the oceans. I'm extremely interested in diving into this, simply for one reason. Or no, actually two reasons. One reason is, while I'm trying to advance my own practice, I'm just doing more and more research into history and archaeology and stuff, and I feel like the history of grimoires and black books and stuff like that is important to know, because nowadays everyone just throws around the words grimoire and Book of Shadows, and a lot of people I feel like don't even really know where they're coming from, so I feel like this book will probably help with that. And also, I'm interested in seeing whether maybe there's mention about the black arts book from Scandinavian folk magic that I always use there. I guess there will be a lot of overlap with other kinds of grimoires, so probably. So yeah, I feel like this book will probably be a very good resource on this. Let's hope that I'm finding what I hope to find. So yeah, having gone over these 15 books, my voice is now very cracked. My voice doesn't want to work anymore. And those were all the books. As I said, there were 3 more, but I didn't get them yet. And also, as I said, if you want me to review any of these books on YouTube, then let me know. And without further ado, Patreon shoutout. Thank you very much to Nat, the Court Jester, Tia McGrath, Alantia, Fabienne, Seth, Tammy, Bresky, Jella, JB, Tim, Anna Qboard, Alexander, Laura, Amber, Kristen, John, Ivy, Phoenix, Anton, Noemi, Jenny, Bran, Tyler, Els, Maggie, Betty, Misty, Tiffany, Amy, Colette, Soren, Braden, Tell, Timothy, Coffee, the Honorary Gossip Squirrel, Bjorn, Ash, and Lucy. Thank you so much. So much. Oh, and by the way, on Patreon, we are now also doing book clubs. So if you're interested in any books, maybe participate in our Patreon book club. I'm very excited. The first round starts on March 1st, and we will read The Altar Within by Julia Diaz. Yes, I have never read the book. Don't come for me. I know everyone is raving about this book. I still remember it when it came out. It has been some time, but I remember it. Everyone was raving about it. So I'm very interested in finally reading it. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up. And of course, check out all of my other social medias and my online shop. And if you want to support my channel, then make sure to check out my Patreon. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!